Hey, what is going on, guys? In this video today, we're going to be going over 5 high IQ things that pro Fortnite players do. It's almost impossible to become a pro level player without having a very high Fortnite IQ, and because of that, there are a lot of things that we can learn from those players. Most of the tips featured in this video should be fairly easy to implement into your own game because they don't really require any mechanical skill at all. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so the first high IQ thing that pro players do is making sure to always protect themselves when making an offensive play. I feel like a lot of players in Fortnite really only have two modes, all-out defense and all-out offense. When they're getting shot at while rotating or sprayed at while sitting inside a box, they're smart enough to keep building and protect themselves from all angles. But when they get in situations where they find an enemy to push or spray at, they enter this sort of tunnel vision mindset where all they care about is dealing damage. Now, if you get lucky and there's nobody else around, I guess that really isn't a big deal, but a lot of the time that obviously isn't going to be the case. If you leave yourself exposed on making any kind of offensive play, you're setting yourself up for something very bad to happen. You can get lasered by an AR from a teammate of the guy you're pushing, a random person third-partying the fight, or worst of all, you could even get sniped from someone far away. And with heavy snipers being the most common sniper in the game right now, you better hope you have over 150 health, or that's all she wrote for you. I'd say the most common situation where people don't protect themselves is when they're pushing an enemy's box. When you're trying to break and replace or spraying a wall, first off, you're barely going to be moving, and second, your back is going to be totally exposed to everybody behind you. You're basically a sitting duck that's just begging to be shot at. So when you see pros in that same situation, they'll almost always place walls around them if they're pushing a box that's out in the open. It's such a simple thing to do, but it'll prevent you from taking so much easily avoidable chip damage. The next high IQ thing that pros constantly do is using the transparent effect of editing to their advantage. So if you guys have been playing Fortnite for a while now, you may remember that back in the day, whenever you initiated an edit, the piece you were editing would become totally transparent. And the reason why it eventually got removed because it was actually really OP. You could pretty much just hide behind a wall in a 1x1, edit it to make it transparent, and then as soon as you saw someone run by, you could just make a window edit and laser them. However, what a lot of people either don't realize or just don't care enough to use is that pretty much every building piece other than walls and floors are still transparent when you edit them. And if you're smart about using this, you can make some really nasty plays that'll pretty much single-handedly win you some fights. The most popular examples of this are placing a ramp down and then editing it in a box fight to see when your opponent's pushing you, and also something that you'll see all the time in competitive especially is people hiding in and editing cones. You'll be able to see everything going on around you, and since it's impossible to see through from the outside and nobody really checks random cones on the ground, your enemy will have no idea that you're actually there. So you can sit inside these edited cones in a lot of situations and get a really good idea of everything going on around you. Then if you see an unsuspecting enemy or a regular fight going on, you can either edit the cone open and blast them, or you could also just continue hiding in it until you need to rotate. Moving on, another high IQ thing that pro players do is make advanced calculations involving their opponent's health once they damage them. Now, this is something that most Fortnite players can do, but only on a really basic level. For example, if you're playing with friends and you hit an enemy with your AR for 33 white damage, you're probably going to call out that he doesn't have any shield and it's a smart play to push him. And a slightly more advanced version of health calculating is when you use it to change the way that you aim. For example, normally when I use shotguns, I'm trying to hit headshots almost every single time. However, if I hit a guy for 40 white with my SMG and then jump into his box with a blue pump, I'm not going gonna worry about aiming for his head at all because I know a body shot will do enough damage to kill him, and those are a little easier to hit. So that's obviously good and all, but pros will take those enemy health calculations to a whole new level. One example that I can think of right off the top of my head was from the FNCS last week when I was watching Unknown Army. So there was this really interesting scenario in the middle of one of the games where him and his duo's inventories weren't looking great and they were kinda low on materials. Because of that, they pretty much needed to kill another team or else they wouldn't really have enough healing and mats to play the way they wanted to for the rest of that game. They basically would have been forced to just hide low ground and play placement. So they were boxed up looking for picks, and Unknown hits a guy with 2 shots of his AUG. The first one does 33 blue, the second one does 33 white. Now that guy was right next to his teammate at the time, so when Unknown called out that he had hit him for 33 white, his duo kinda said, nah, we can't really push that, it's kinda far away, and by the time we get there, he'll just heal up to 200 and probably kill us. However, that's when Unknown pointed out something really interesting. Since the guy was only at 150 health when he initially shot him, if his teammate had a big shield or slurpfish to get him to 200, he would have given it to him already before Unknown shot him. So at that point, they realized that team was likely really weak on shield, they pushed them, killed them, and it gave them enough of a mat and loot upgrade to feel good about the rest of the game. And I'm gonna be honest, when I saw that live, it kinda took me about a minute to realize how smart of a play that really was. The fourth high IQ thing that pro players do is practice and perfect their opening game drops. Getting a good drop out of the battle bus is probably one of the 2 or 3 most underrated skills in all of Fortnite. I actually remember a really good quote, I think it was from Chap, where he said something like, I know I don't have the mechanics of some of the cracked Fortnite pros out there, so I need to get every little advantage possible. And one way I can do that is by having better drops than everybody else. And it's actually kind of funny because he said the only other player that consistently has better drops than him is Tfue, which makes their little battle over the grotto even more interesting. But getting back on topic, so many lower skilled Fortnite players treat their initial drop as like this luck-based thing. They just kinda jump randomly, go pretty much straight down, and hope they eyeballed it well enough to at least get a somewhat decent drop. It's not even like you have to go into creative mode and pull out a protractor to get the perfect angle from every bus path. That's honestly what some pro players do pretty much, but that's a little over the top. Just make sure that from each bus path, over time, you start to find some landmarks that you can use to sort of dive down onto that'll get you a good drop. I land agency in about 95% of the games I play, so over time, I've learned pretty much exactly which part of the map to dive straight down on to get a perfect landing. If you can consistently get good landings, you're gonna pick up some of the easiest kills of your Fortnite career on players who don't get good landings, because you'll get a weapon off the rip and they'll just be running around with a pickaxe. The fifth and final high IQ thing that pro players do is pre-planning their rotations in endgame situations. This is mostly a tip for you guys who play any kind of competitive Fortnite games, but honestly, with how sweaty pubs are getting nowadays, even a lot of those end up having relatively stacked endgames. This is probably the most basic tip on the entire list, but just like how most people kinda hope for the best while dropping, you'd be shocked how many average players just kinda sprint forward, maybe tunnel a bit, and hope for the best while rotating in endgame. The reason why that's so bad is because most pros will plan their rotation a solid 30 to 40 seconds before they even execute it. The reason why is because that's how long they need to analyze everything going on around them. They think about things like where enemy teams are positioned in regards to the safe zone, how many mats they have, if there are old builds they can use to help them rotate, etc, etc. There's a reason why making smart rotations in endgame is hands down one of the most important skills in Fortnite. It's something that takes a lot of game sense and IQ to do. and maybe you can get away with just YOLOing your rotations in low skill lobbies, but good players are gonna eat you alive if you do that in a real competitive game. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched the entire thing, be sure to let me know with a comment down in the comment section below. Which of the 5 high IQ things that we discussed in this video do you most need to work on? Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.